The receipt lay on the table like a quiet insult, its numbers cold and final under the restaurant's dim lights. $0. No tip. For a moment the room seemed to tilt as Michael Carter, a tired single dad and late-night waiter, felt the weight of another invisible blow land on his chest. He had smiled through aching feet, refilled glasses without being asked, and treated the guest like royalty. And now, staring at that empty line, Michael felt something crack inside him, the kind of crack that comes from carrying hope for too long without rest. If you believe stories like this still matter, if you believe kindness can rise from the most unexpected places, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to this channel. Your support keeps stories of second chances alive. Michael had learned to move quietly through life. Each morning began before the sun rose over Columbus, Ohio, with the sound of his alarm and the soft breathing of his 8-year-old son, Noah, sleeping in the next room. He packed lunches, tied shoelaces, and whispered encouragements into a world that didn't always whisper back. After dropping Noah at school, he headed to work, and after work, he headed to his second job at a small downtown restaurant where business people and travelers came and went like passing weather. He never complained. He just kept going because stopping wasn't an option when a child depended on you. That night had been especially long. A private room had been reserved for a wealthy guest whose name everyone recognized. Jonathan Hale, a billionaire investor known across the country for his sharp mind and colder reputation, had arrived with quiet authority. The manager hovered, the kitchen rushed, and Michael was assigned the table because he was known for staying calm under pressure. He treated Jonathan like any other guest, with respect and careful attention, though the weight of the man's presence filled the room. Plates were served perfectly, glasses never emptied, and every detail was handled with care. When the meal ended, Jonathan left without a glance back. The table was clean, the plates cleared, and the receipt remained. Michael picked it up, already calculating what the tip might help cover. School supplies were due soon, and Noah's shoes were wearing thin at the soles. But the line where generosity usually lived was blank, zero, no explanation, just emptiness. Around him the restaurant hummed with closing sounds, but inside Michael, something went quiet. He didn't lash out or curse the man. He folded the receipt and slipped it into his apron, reminding himself that not everyone saw service workers as human. He wiped the table one last time, and that was when he noticed it. A small, neatly folded note tucked beneath the plate, almost hidden, as if it wanted to be discovered only after the initial sting. Michael hesitated, his fingers trembling slightly as he opened it, expecting nothing more than an afterthought. What he found made his breath catch. The note was handwritten, steady and deliberate, nothing flashy about it. It spoke about observation, about watching a man work with dignity even when no one was watching closely. It mentioned the way Michael had adjusted a chair for an elderly guest earlier in the night, the patience he showed when the kitchen delayed an order, and the worn photo of a smiling boy that had fallen from his pocket while he bent to clear the table. The note said that sometimes the most valuable tips were not left in cash but in opportunity, and that this was not the end of the story. At the bottom was a name and a phone number, along with an instruction to call in the morning. Michael stood there long after the lights dimmed, the note pressed against his palm like a lifeline. He went home that night with the same empty wallet but a heart racing with confusion and cautious hope. He tucked Noah into bed, kissed his forehead, and sat at the kitchen table until sleep finally claimed him, the note resting beside a cold cup of coffee. Morning came quickly. With hands that had served thousands of plates but now shook with uncertainty, Michael made the call. What followed changed the direction of his life. Jonathan Hale had not been testing him for amusement. He had been searching for someone grounded, someone who understood responsibility and sacrifice. The $0 tip had been a filter, a way to see how a person responded when gratitude seemed absent. Michael's quiet professionalism had spoken louder than any complaint ever could. Within weeks, Michael was offered a position in one of Jonathan's hospitality ventures, starting with training and mentorship, rather than promises of instant wealth. The hours were long, but they came with stability, benefits, and the chance to grow. Michael studied at night after Noah fell asleep, learning about management, finances, and leadership. He stumbled, he doubted himself, but he never quit. Years passed, and the restaurant downtown became a memory. Michael rose through the ranks not because of favors, but because he treated people the same way he always had, with respect and care. He hired single parents, offered flexible schedules, and created spaces where dignity was part of the job description. Noah grew taller, stronger, watching his father not just survive, but build something meaningful. One evening, standing in the lobby of a hotel he now managed, Michael found himself holding a receipt again, this one framed on the wall. It was the old $0 tip, preserved as a reminder that sometimes the smallest moments carry the greatest weight. Guests walked past it every day, many never noticing, but Michael knew exactly what it meant. If this story is touching something inside you, if it reminds you of a time when hope arrived quietly, please take a moment to like, share, and engage with this video. Your interaction helps these stories reach hearts that need them. And before the ending, here is a special request. Comment below and tell us whether you believe that kindness always comes back, even when it takes time. Michael never forgot where he came from. He never forgot the nights of exhaustion or the fear of not having enough. And he never forgot that a billionaire once left him a $0 tip, not to humiliate him, but to reveal the strength he already carried. In a world obsessed with instant rewards, his story became a quiet reminder that grace often arrives disguised, waiting for patience to uncover it.